you ignore booking pace or, lead time shifts, and then you just assume something's broken.
Yep.
And I think it's good to just lean into it and know that the occupancy is low, and occupancy is just low, and it's not broken. You don't have to fix anything. You just have to breathe.
Yeah.
Welcome to Rev Labs by PriceLabs.
Kyle here. Welcome to another episode of RevLabs by PriceLabs. You're tuned into the latest episode of the RevLabs Insider, where we go behind the scenes of revenue management and talk to the people who work closely with revenue managers every day here at PriceLabs. Today, we have my awesome new teammate, Kyndra Gardner, and I'm super excited for today's conversation. So let's go ahead and get started. Kyndra, we're going to talk a little bit about your journey. So why don't you let us know, a little bit about yourself, things you like outside of revenue management and all that. But then how did you end up working inside of revenue management?
Sure. Things I like outside of revenue management. I actually just finished putting together a loaf of bread in my kitchen before we started. So sourdough is, something that I'm, have a starter in my kitchen. And, I feel pretty passionate about, I call them my old lady hobbies. Like gardening, baking, cooking, a lot of those things. And, I feel like my journey to PriceLabs really started with customer facing work throughout my career. And, moved a lot into more pattern recognition as far as building relationships and being that person that helps remove roadblocks in a lot of the things that I did. And revenue management, I just kind of landed on as a career in the last position that I worked with in a short-term vacation rental company. And I didn't really chase revenue management, so to speak. I worked in on the guest side of vacation rental. I worked with partners in the housekeeping side of things, as well as the revenue side. And I just kept getting pulled towards those performance questions. So PriceLabs really sort of became the place where curiosity kind of turned into a role for me.
That's awesome. And what brought you to PriceLabs? Like, how did you get here? Did you just see an ad for a job and then hop in and join us?
I did. I saw an advertisement on LinkedIn for a job, and the role that I was in as a performance advisor and talking with owners about their properties every day. It was one of those things where I just felt something was like kind of missing in a lot of the conversations I was having, and I just kind of wanted something more. I wanted more challenge. I wanted to learn more, and I really felt that PriceLabs just was offering a lot of that for me. So that, that transition to come to PriceLabs just really felt right.
That's awesome. And how long have you been with us again? We're going on 3 months now?
Almost 4. Yeah.
Almost 4 months. Yeah. That's awesome. And it's been a joy working with you every single day.
Thank you.
I know we're supposed to be talking about revenue management, but Kyndra's had my back on a couple of tech issues that I've run into. So already not even a half year in, and she's saving my backside. So
yeah, I work for a lot of startups, and when you work for small, startups, whether they're in fabrics or you work in tech, you kind of have to figure out your own computer problems. And I also have teenagers, so you got to figure out the computer problems yourself. You can't really, hire somebody in to do that. So yeah. Kind of just one of those things. You've been growing up with computers. I'm older than Google, but I know how to fix a computer, so it's been my pleasure.
Well, it's much appreciated, that's for sure. Well,
Absolutely.
you've been speaking a lot with me on helping me get the tech issues done and things like that, but you're also speaking to RMs around the country. And what are some of the things that you're kind of hearing in our industry? Like, what are some expectations that you've got for 2026?
Things that I'm really seeing right now, in a lot of areas is, that seasonal shift. We're sort of coming out of the holidays. There's kind of that, you get that soft demand panic where should I lower my prices? Should I, be worried about my, my busy season? What are my booking windows? And, I think people are getting some tool fatigue, if that makes sense, where they also a lot of times will compare, this year or even last year to really peak years. And, something we have to get out of the habit of is looking at taking out of context a lot of the things that may be happening either in our pricing, our occupancy, or our demand, things that we, kind of need to go, this is not your mom's January in 2026. And, you ignore booking pace or, lead time shifts, and then you just assume something's broken.
Yep.
And I think it's good to just lean into it and know that the occupancy is low, and occupancy is just low, and it's not broken. You don't have to fix anything. You just have to breathe.
Yeah, demand's starting to shift a little bit, and you got to show a little bit of patience as you're going through a new year. That's for sure. And it's funny. I'll be on a webinar tomorrow, which will be like 2 weeks prior to when this is released. But I'm going to be on a webinar where we're kind of talking about some of this 2026 shifting and exactly what you said. You've got to be nimble and be ready for it. So
yeah,
that's a great point. So right before we got on this call, we were talking about some of the customer calls you've been on, and you've been dealing with folks in Paris, you've been dealing with folks in the US, kind of all over the place. What are some of the specific challenges that you're kind of hearing from some of these people? And I think you kind of alluded to it a little bit, which is not expecting, shifting behavior, but else do you experience?
I think the biggest thing that I'm running into with talking with people is it's really the lack of confidence, not a lack of data, because we really have that available for them. And then they go and pull too many levers at once, and then there's no clear success metric. I use this analogy a lot all the time. It's like if I'm an airline pilot and I need to make a small shift to my my route to get to where I need to go, I'm not going to yank the wheel and push a bunch of buttons, because I don't know what's going to, what change that made to actually get me to where I need to go. So I'm going to make small incremental changes if I feel like I need to make changes, and then figure out, did that work? Is that really what I needed to do? And then look at the data. Because we're in an industry that we need to follow the data, not the feelings. And it's hard when you're dealing with money to not follow the feelings.
So that's a very good point. I love that visual that you just gave to,
it works for a lot of people. Yeah.
It does, because it makes sense. I mean, you turn the switch on and you don't know what it does. And it's the same as taking that wheel and jerking it as quick as you can.
Yep. Exactly.
What are some of those things that you might see, like where people might get stuck, or is there something like that inside of PriceLabs that you've seen that is kind of consistently being used when it necessarily should?
I think sometimes they're going in and manually setting prices a little too often, rather than and making it too difficult for themselves, or having too much to have to go back and undo. And not looking at, again, I think really just not looking at the data, and going in and doing some comparisons, really digging into what are maybe a short-term dip, looking at a competitive set that's maybe too big. What, did we have a length of stay rule? Is maybe our minimum price what really needs to be tweaked? Sometimes, underthinking things can, kind of lead to, some of those issues as well.
What's something that people tend to overthink in PriceLabs from your experience?
I really think that dropping rates without checking on like the impact in the long term. If you are going to make changes to your base rate, whether it be lowering it or increasing it and just pushing the button, even if you're using our the tool that is, you know, the button that's just, you know, like take a recommendation and I'm just gonna, yeah, go ahead and change it, and then just not going and looking to see you know, how that overall is impacting. And I think if you're, especially if you're lowering prices, if you're dropping prices, then not also potentially looking at other changes that you might need to make, whether that be to, you know, your length of stay or your minimum price. I think one specific setting sometimes isn't just the only thing that you need to tweak. It can make a big difference, but going in and if you make the change, actually going in and looking at what that changes the price to long term.
So that's a great point. And anything that you can think of that you really think is underutilized, you know, whether you're a host or a large property manager, what's something inside of PriceLabs that you like that you don't hear a lot of people talking about?
I really like the competitor map in the neighborhood data, and just being able to compare overall, like especially in markets that are, you know, very seasonal. Maybe it's a coastal area, maybe you have lake properties, maybe it's a Myrtle Beach or North Florida where you're very particular properties, and you have something that you need a much smaller comp set, and you have particular properties that you really want to focus in on. And while that neighborhood data looks all well and good, sometimes you really just need to focus on you versus that guy down the street and make sure, because at the end of the day, when I'm a guest and I'm looking to book, it's me, I'm looking at you and that other guy, because really, you know, sometimes that's what it comes down to. And when everything is right and your marketing is good and your, you know, your properties are so very similar, honestly, sometimes it really does come down to price and length of stay. And if you're forcing it too long of a stay, or maybe not long enough of a stay, or your pricing's not quite right, being able to look at that side by side and to really dig in to see what they're doing, I think is an incredibly, incredibly powerful tool.
Yeah, absolutely. That's great advice. And anybody that's ever listened to these knows that I'm probably the biggest proponent of neighborhood data. Getting in there, understanding it, understanding what your competitors are doing is massive and helps you really, really pick up on some of those little nuances that maybe the tools aren't able to pick up on when you look at specific people and see when they're changing things, and basically in real time. Really, really helpful.
Absolutely.
And we're going to have some fun, Kyndra. We've got some rapid fire questions now.
Okay.
And I'm just going to come up with these as I can. And I've got a few of them that I've been thinking of as we've gone on here. So,
okay.
What's one goal you want to accomplish in 2026 at PriceLabs?
I want to be one of those people that not only that my customers come to for advice, but other people within PriceLabs come to. That just like, she's the one that knows that one thing. I don't know what that one thing is yet, but you know, I like to be that person that really you know, finds that one tool. And I'm learning so much about all of the different tools and things at PriceLabs that I really want to be somebody that people really have that confidence in. That be like, you know, like I know somebody who knows this, and I just need to go ask her.
All right. Personal goal 2026 or 2026 personal goal.
I got out of the habit of running. Last year, my youngest and I did a running club at their school. And they moved it to a middle school this year, so they're not doing a run club this year at their school. And I kind of miss it. We did a couple of 5Ks, and I have a new puppy, and I really think he would benefit from running as well. So when the weather gets nicer, I would like to start running again, and I would like to not only do like a 5K, but I'd also like to do a 10K.
Nice. Well, I'm gonna try to stoke that about halfway through the year. I'm gonna check in on you and see how.
I love it. Challenge accepted.
All right. So out of every customer you've talked with in your experience here, what market has interested you the most? Like when you've hopped on a call with somebody, you've got in and started looking at their data, what market has interested you the most?
I would say something that was really interesting to me was, and something that I had kind of come into sort of ignoring, was Gatlinburg.
Hey.
I was just kind of surprised it just become so saturated, and people have just sort of scooped up so many homes, and it has just become one of those where everybody just sort of knows exactly what Gatlinburg's doing. But I've been pleasantly surprised to see the occupancy overperforming and the pricing doing better than we have seen in the past. So yeah, I've been like, oh, okay, don't count her out.
Very healthy market right now, and
Yep.
one of the few where you can get a 2-bedroom that can make more money than a 4-bedroom as long as you build it
Absolutely.
correctly. Put a
Yes.
hot tub, put an indoor pool in a 2-bedroom in the Smoky Mountains right now, and you are going to make a lot of money.
And surprisingly, I would say that's something that I'm finding about several markets, is that some like smaller homes are performing better than larger homes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so talked about the market that you saw that you liked. What's one market that you want to visit this year, whether it's from an event or going on a vacation or something like that? What's some place that you want to get to this year?
I would love to go back to Nashville. I visited a friend last year in the summer, and was just like, I fell in love with the boardwalk, and like experiencing and just like seeing all of the lights, and it was just like it was just absolutely incredible. And I would love to go back and spend a little bit more time actually getting to eat more of the food and just listen to more music.
And you're not just trying to get brownie points with me by mentioning these Tennessee places, are you, Kyndra?
No.
All right, cool. As long as that's clear. But no, I agree. Nashville's a great spot, and we've got plenty of events there. So
and the Johnny Cash Museum was great. It was one of my favorite things I did when I was there.
That's awesome.
I love Johnny Cash.
All right, so we've got that one now. My final question for you, rapid fire. This is what I've been thinking of this whole time.
Okay.
I'm getting ready to adopt a new dog. What would you name this dog if you had to use something revenue management related?
Oh, wow. Having seen the picture that you posted, wow. I would have to say something like, oh gosh, revenue management related.
I've got one in mind, and it's going to get either a big thumbs up or a big thumbs down, but I'm going to let you go first.
Wow. God, I'm struggling. God, I'm
This is kind of a good segue, because now at the end of this, when we post this webinar, or I'm sorry, when we post this podcast, I can hop in and say, all right, everybody, give us your suggestions for this dog name.
Talk to us what the dog name is. I'm struggling. I'm gonna go with something really boring and really obnoxious and just say ADR.
Hey.
And you could actually like spell it out and be like the A, the D, and the R could be like, like actually like a really ridiculous, like long name.
Augustus Rudolfo. Yeah.
Like David Richardson, or something like that they give to like the AKC dogs. the third.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it would be funny if then you just shortened it to be some sort of acronym that is well known in revenue management.
My suggestion was going to be Rev Bark.
Rev Bark. Oh my goodness. Yeah.
I told you it was either a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Like
yeah,
there's
it's
no,
a groaner.
there's no in between on that one.
It's a groaner, but that's good. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Kyndra. This has been a fun chat. We'll have this posted up really, really soon, and I'm so looking forward to a couple of years working with you, Kyndra.
My pleasure. Thanks, Kyle.